I thought, what could I do what's the complete opposite of economics and trading and all of that? What can I do that is completely different? So I thought, gold mining. If people could just get the American mindset, they are pure capitalists. What is the best solution? What is the best deal? If I cold called you in France or in Germany or the UK, 9 times out of 10 I hang up straight away. Someone cold calls me, hello,
I'm not interested.
This is Matt from beep beep beep. You hang up.
Yeah.
In the US, you go, hey, this is Matt from Halo BodyCams. Okay. We have a solution we think you'd be really interested in. Can I get 30 seconds of your time just to give you a quick overview? Okay, go ahead. We decided that we wanted to take this company to the stratosphere. We talked about going public. I don't know whether that's definitely the right decision, but certainly we can go to a really high place with leadership that knows how to do that. It was the right decision. We have a really good team in place. Do I miss having the shoot from the hip ability to make all decisions off the hip and move fast in that sense? There's a great saying about velocity, and it's essentially, if I just go fast enough, nothing can stop me. So just keep moving.
Yeah, correct. Yeah.
Nothing can stop you.
Hey guys, welcome to a new episode on Neologism World, and today I have like a new entrepreneur that we're going to talk with. He don't build a software company only, but also like a hardware company, and we will see the difference between like a 100% software company and the challenge that you have to face. Today I'm receiving Matthew Nesbitt from Halos.
We rebranded.
Yeah, you know, like I stuck like 2-3 times on that. No, let's say Halos, and my apologize for that. So welcome to Neologism. So the aim is to have like a normal exchange together.
Of course.
And I would love to start the journey not when you start the company, but just before, because like I was just in 2 minutes, wow,
yes.
What the hell this guy have done?
Yeah. Okay, so we'll go right back to university. So I went to Scotland. I studied economics. The idea was to become a trader in London. Very shallow. Go make some money, trade some stocks. That was the plan. But I did that for 5 years, and that was really tough because I'm actually dyslexic. So I'm severely dyslexic actually.
Congratulations if you reach to, because it's really hard when you're dyslexic to reach the point.
There are downsides, but there's also many upsides. I also have ADHD on top of that. So it's focusing your energy and using your creativity to make success out of it. If you can do that, you can be successful. But if you can't control it, and there's times when you lose control of it, it's crazy. It's scattergun. Nothing gets done. So you have to be very, very careful with it. But I got through the 5 years of university, and I thought, I need a break. I need a complete break. I'm going to do something completely different. But bear in mind, I still want to make money. So I spoke to my friend Paddy, who actually lives in Dubai right now. Paddy left. I said to Paddy, hey, typical Irish name, by the way. I was like, Paddy, what about going to Australia? And what about working in a gold mine? He was like, yeah.
In a gold mine?
A gold mine. So I was working.
But you do what?
I was mining. I was with my pickaxe and I was chiseling. Really? No, I was down in the mine shafts and cutting.
No, come on, no, you were not doing that. You were doing.
No, I'm kidding. So we're driving trucks. They're big trucks. They carry 50 tons of rock.
Okay.
They're articulated dump trucks. You drive in, you take at the bottom of the mine, you take your loads, and then you drive up. You do that. It's a big mine, so you maybe like 12, 15 a day.
Okay.
Return trips, because it's a long way and it's 5 kilometers per hour. It's very slow.
Whoa.
So a lot of Netflix was watched whilst doing that job.
You can think about a lot of things.
Yeah, but it did, and it gave me a lot of time to think about what I'm really wanting to do. But we'll come back to that. But I did the gold mining for, I would say, about 6 months. I'm working, you get to the mine at 6 in the morning. You finish at 6 p.m. You're doing a 12-hour day. Plus, you have about a 45-minute prep before you start. You've got to get the machines set up. When you leave, you've got to do the opposite back down. Then there's a 1-hour drive from the mine back to home. So you're really talking like 4:30 to 8 p.m. It's a long day. It's a tough life.
It's really long day, yeah.
Yeah, it's tough. And it's tough conditions. It's 45, 50 degree heat. It's hot.
But at the beginning, it's something that you want to do?
Not at all. I thought, what could I do to get, what's the complete opposite of economics and trading and all of that? What can I do that is completely different? So I thought gold mining. And I knew a guy, everybody knows a guy. I knew a guy in a gold mine. And he said, oh, look, I can get you a job. It's a very basic job.
Why not?
But I thought, why not? And my friend came with me and we thought, cool. So we did that for 6 months. And then there was a problem with the business. One of the business partners was doing things he shouldn't have done, and their business ceased to operate almost immediately overnight. So we come in to go to work the next day. Oh, no, you guys aren't working here. So Paddy and I are like, oh my, what? So we drive back into the town, it's like an hour back. We've lost our jobs.
Yeah.
We have no work. And we're sitting in a bar, and bear in mind this is Australia, so the bars are open at like 8, 9 in the morning. Sitting in the bar.
It's a good idea at 8, yeah.
Because people are coming off night shifts, and they're maybe working through the night.
Yes, correct, yeah.
So it's like, I'll go to the bar for a few drinks. So I'm sitting there in the bar with Paddy, and we're complaining about who are these guys. Like, we've spent 6 months working here, to get another job's going to be tough. So whilst we're complaining, this random guy from Ireland, so I'm from Northern Ireland, he's same part of Ireland, he comes back, or he shouts across the bar and said, hey, guys, what are you complaining about? Do you want a job? And we were like, doing what? And he was like, in a prison. We were, what? He's like, you want a job in the prison? We said, okay. So Paddy and I turned up the next day, reporting for duty in a prison. And everyone said, well, were you like prison guards? No, it was construction work. So we were constructing a prison.
Okay.
Yeah. So people think, are you pouring the soups? Are you like manning the towers? No, it was a construction job. Did that for 6 months, and Paddy decided to move to a pearl farm in the Indian Ocean. I thought, I'm not doing that. I'm not a pirate. I'm not. That's not for me.
Yeah, stop. No.
I don't have my sea legs. So he left, and then I said to a couple of friends in Dubai, I said, "Yo, what are you guys up to?" They're like, "Oh, we work in real estate. Like, do you want a job?" And I thought, okay. So I actually flew to Dubai. So that's actually the first time I moved to Dubai. I got a job here, and I worked for 2.5 years for a real estate company.
Okay.
East Space Real Estate, so give them a shout out. Great company, and really enjoyed working there, but it wasn't for me. That's, real estate, I thought economics was my thing. I knew I wanted to run my own business at some point. So I decided to put all of that to the side and move back to the UK, back to Northern Ireland. And whenever I got back there, I thought, right, I need to set up my own business. Now, I had a concept for a wearable Wi-Fi device, which I'll not go into too much detail because that's what I'm doing next. So I can't tell anybody. But
don't tell it.
It will. The battery tech wasn't there at the time. It will be here. It is here. So really, over the next period, that's something I like to get involved with. But whilst I was trying to do that, I was spending all my money. Paying for research. I even paid for branding. I mean, talk about jumping the gun. Building your brand is so far down the line before you get the product right. But I did it anyway because I was interested in it and I was passionate about it. But my folks, my mom and dad said to me, hey, maybe you should get a job, like, until you work this out. So I said, okay, I'll have a look. So I spoke to a recruitment company back home and said, look, guys, is there anything in tech? Like, this is my space that I'm really passionate about. Whether that's, software sales, whether it's hardware, whatever, but I'm interested in this. And they came back to me with 2 companies, and one was a BodyCam company. So I said, okay, well, I'll interview for both, get both job offers. And I really liked the sales director at the BodyCam company. We got on really well. And I thought the industry was really interesting. So I said, okay, took the job. And that was me into the BodyCam sector. And that's how I got into the market. It's such a random industry.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Body cameras, like how...
So if you get the other job, you will choose like the other industry. You will make the company for the other industry.
I wouldn't. Well, if I was in that industry, I don't know. It was purely software, very different.
It's different
strategy.
Yeah.
And it's actually to do with, it's called text help. It's to do with dyslexia and learning within that environment.
Yeah, it's different.
Very different. I don't know if that would have been the industry for me. But I found security so interesting. I love security people. They are like no other people. They are generally, and you'll know this, there are a lot of them are ex-police, ex-military. They're very much about relationships. They're about you as the individual. They're buying off you. They have to buy into what you're selling. So the product has to be right, but you have to be right too. And they're very cautious about that.
The trust is really important for them.
It's incredible.
Yeah, like they take like the real value. Totally agree with you. I love the value that we can find in military and police, and they bring it in the relationship. Like, okay, I need to trust you at 100%.
Yeah.
So it's really interesting.
Yeah, and we found that for obviously police, obviously military, but the private sector. The private sector is almost entirely made up of at a management strategy level by ex law enforcement.
Yeah, correct. Yeah. So they bring the same value.
It's almost and it's almost entirely that way. Maybe 90%. It's a lot. So I really enjoyed that, and I worked in that company for I think it was about a year.
And after how you have the idea, you said like I can do it on my own.
Well, do you know what it was? At that business, they had a really good. We were doing really well at sales. Like the results were amazing. You know, we were selling a lot of units every month. Well, the numbers were great, and I thought, you know, I knew roughly what the landed was, and I knew what the revenue was. And I thought,
And you remember the truck?
Oh yeah, well,
Driving the truck.
Driving the truck, saying, how do I make some money? And I thought there's a lot of good margin in this sector. You know this, a lot of security industries, the margins are very low. And I thought, okay, there's good margins. Now these are your landed margins. You've got obviously then your operational costs, but that gives you good room to make a profit though. And whenever I was there, I realized that the technology that they had wasn't very good. There was other companies out there with better features. One company was good at one thing, another company was good at something else, another one was good at something else. But this one was a particularly lower level, and it was still doing well. And I thought, wow, if we could pull together these 4, 5, 6 features and do it well, we would be unstoppable. And also, and you know, I was trying to think of what is I really want to talk about today. Whenever I was coming over here, I was thinking, what's the message, I guess, about entrepreneurship? And there's probably 3 or 4 areas that you really need to get clear. One of them is, what industry am I going into? So where is there a need? So at that previous company, I saw 2, 3 sectors that they were doing really well in because of the relationships there. They had the understanding of that market, but the product wasn't where it should have been. Versus you got the next sort of area that you need to focus on is what you have to understand your product. So you need to know what you're selling. You know the sector that you're selling into. You need to plant a flag in that sector. So get a win. So hard, by any means, get that first win. And also to get that, have your messaging really clear. So for us, what sets us different? We had the best hardware in the market, but we didn't lead with that. It wasn't like we're the best, our hardware is the best, and it was the most powerful processor, the best battery life, highest image quality. But that aside, when I was speaking to customers, I would talk about it for 1 to 2 minutes, and then I would set the hardware to the side. I'd say, but it's not about that. It's actually about the entire environment that you're buying into. So you explain that process. And then another key part of that is the commercial model. So how do you purchase it? But then how easy is it to purchase? Is it affordable? And we found a way of doing that is not rocket science, but nobody else in our sector was doing.
Yeah, you changed the way selling. But we will see just after. First, like when you decide, okay, there is an opportunity, there is a market, like I have my value proposal.
Yes.
Still a hardware and software company.
Yeah.
Hardware, it's really cash burning at the beginning.
It is.
Did you know about that, or you just like move and say like, let's see?
Do you know, it's funny, this is, I've had some smaller businesses before Halo that we're talking very small businesses that I worked on with a few friends, a couple of projects that we worked on. But this is my first time really working it all out. And it's funny, you do not know what you don't know.
Yeah, correct.
And you work it out, right?
Yeah.
And I didn't realize how little I knew, and I just found out by doing. So getting on the flight, going and seeing the people, asking the questions like, how much can I buy these components for? How much can I buy that for? I like these chipsets versus this chipsets. This is really good. Non-Chinese, lens processor. Here's a Chinese one that's equally as good, actually, sometimes. Not always, but sometimes, for half the price. And then we got to decide, well, do we want to use Chinese components? And we didn't. And we said we'd rather be premium, we'd rather charge a bit more, and people will buy into that because there is the question over Chinese goods. So
of course, yeah.
we had to make that absolutely clear. We wouldn't go down that path. But yeah, you kind of you work out what people want, and then you just build it for them. And with the hardware, it's a journey. So firstly, to go source your components, you got to go to Asia. So you got to so processors, lens, batteries are coming from Taiwan, Japan, South Korea, and then the only thing that you get out of China really is your PCBA circuit board. You get it printed there. You can do partial assembly there, some of the transistors and things, but again, non-Chinese, even on the smallest level components. And then that's probably the most technical part. And then the final assembly when you get back home, like it lets you sort of put that branding of made in the UK, made in France, whatever it is. You've got to work out that supply chain and where I'm getting my components from. What point do we do the assembly where? What's in terms of the best cost? Making your tooling, your molds for hardware for the camera is so expensive. As a small business, when we saw the bill for that, we were like, what we had raised, our go-to-market we raised initially was £500,000, which is about 600,000 euros, maybe a bit less.
That you raised at the beginning?
Yes, that was off my initial investors.
It was like more love money?
So we got that. We
got
got those from private investors that we knew partially personally, but we were also introduced through different circles.
Okay.
It was again completely a private fundraise. And we raised £500,000, and we thought that was so much money. We thought, wow.
Yeah, at the beginning you said, I'm good for 3 years.
Yeah,
it's okay.
We've got £500,000. We've got all this money. It's not much money at all, as you know. Now, £500,000 in 2019 is a lot more than £500,000 in 2026.
Yeah.
I mean, the rate of inflation has been insane.
Increase. Yeah.
Costs of everything, particularly labour, but also transport costs, energy costs, everything has gone through the roof. So for any new companies starting out, the numbers that I'm talking about, even though they're only 6-7 years old, are, you got to look at that and say, wow, you can see where the costs have gone up. But £500,000 felt like a lot of money. And we found out that tooling was like, 13-14% of our costs in one thing. We're like, whoa, we're going to, we did it be really tight on cash here. So, but tooling was like one of the bigger ones. We had to go out and we had to fly to Asia. We had to go source our components, and we got to go meet the people and go to some of the assembly facilities. That's very interesting. That's when you don't know what you're doing. When you're a new person, you're an entrepreneur. You're just trying to make it work.
Correct,
I think that's one of the main things about entrepreneurship is just making it work, making it happen. I mean, by any means, just get to the end goal.
Correct,
you don't have to be the most professional. You just need to get there. So again, we flew out. We learned as we went along, and see after a few months doing this and speaking to suppliers, and you pick it up fast. And I guess I would say to anyone who's looking to manufacture their own hardware, it's not easy, but just do it. Also, bring in consultants. I brought in a consultant, a guy in Hong Kong. His name's Edwin Lee. He came in initially. He ended up becoming our CTO for a period of time. Really great guy. But he was fluent in Mandarin and Cantonese.
Okay, so it helped a lot.
Oh my goodness.
You speed up the process and everything.
Because when you're getting to those facilities, particularly in China, if you're going to Shenzhen, you're looking about the PCBA, which is all the transistors and all the smaller elements and pulling that together. That's probably the most complex part. Also, if you've never been to China, you get to the border in Hong Kong, and it says, when you're in Hong Kong, it says guests or new entrants to the country come in here. When you go to the border in China, it says foreigner. And you instantly feel like you take a breath, take a step. That first time you step over the Chinese border is quite scary. actually.
It's
So
another word.
I don't know if anyone, not many people have actually gone to China. A lot of people just do it remotely. That's not the right way to do it. You have to go there. But I went and met Edwin in Hong Kong, worked on a project with him at the previous company, and got on really well. Said, Edwin, we'd love your help. And it was like, we did a deal where he got, for every unit we manufactured, we give him so many dollars. So it was pro bono. We didn't have to pay him anything. So it was making it work. But then obviously as we did better, he got paid, and then he became an employee actually, and a CTO for a period. But getting the right people involved. So if you're doing any of the manufacturing process in China, get someone who speaks the language. And the great thing about Hong Kong is it's on the border with Shenzhen. So they speak English. Hong Kong speak English. They speak Mandarin. They speak Cantonese. So when you're sitting in a meeting talking to someone, like, I need this. It can't do this. You need to change that. I want the coating to be rubberized. I don't want that hard plastic. You know, from the mold element, we get your plastics from China. Again, it's a molding issue, a molding component. But when you're asking about that, they're like, yes. They have no idea what you're talking about.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
I mean, and
it's cultural.
Not at all. Yeah, where if Edwin's sitting there and he just would look and say, no, they don't know what you're talking about. I'm like, okay. So he would then jump in and he would explain to them. So that's a huge element for hardware for anyone who's listening.
And after when you build this product, so how many times you get to reach your first customer and to go to market, like?
As in, and how long did it take?
Yeah, how long did it take?
So left unofficially, started the business on the 12th of March 2019. Officially registered on the 15th of April 2019, but we left the previous business and then jumped into the new business registration about a month later. But in that process, that's when we jumped straight onto the hardware manufacturing element, reaching out to suppliers across the globe, reaching out to assembly facilities. So between all different parts of Asia, getting all of that, and then jumping on a plane and going and see them. We just with that whole process was like within 3 to 4 days. We literally just start pulling things together. Software side, we worked with a company that would build it for us. Without getting into that too much, because I think more is the hardware is the interesting element. But we did that side by side, and they developed that over a period of time. But it was a total. We're our first official. We were pre-selling off pictures, computer images by July.
Okay.
And we had no hardware, but we had pictures, and we had a 3D model by August, and we had our first prototype, a T0. We had one of those by September, and we had a first sellable model, which again, you got to test some more and stuff, but we had officially the model by October, and our first official contract was November 2019. So
good.
From middle of March to middle of November.
It's really fast.
Pretty quick.
Yeah, pretty quick.
When you need to do something, you can do it quick.
Yeah, but you really need it.
You have to be able to make decisions quickly. And it's one thing that I think as businesses get bigger, they lose that element, which is shooting. We call it shooting from the hip.
Yeah.
You know, the same, I'm going to do that, I'm going to do that. And to do that, you have to have a really in-depth knowledge of what you're going to do. So you can't shoot from the hip if you don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, correct,
because it just you go completely the wrong direction. But if I'm shooting from the hip and I know my sector, I've worked in the bodycam market, I know what they want, I know what the product needs to look like. I also have a good eye for brands, and product, so I know that feels good, that looks good. I mean, even like our single docks, people pick them up and feel, wow, those are really good quality. And all the difference is I rubberize it instead of hard coated it, and I put weights inside it. I put metal weights in it to make it heavier.
Feel like, okay,
that's it.
You have for your money.
The finished product was really light, and everyone's like, oh, lighter the better. No, there's actually a balance, and we found, even it's just a personal opinion, I want more weight in that. So we put some metal in it loosely, and we were like, yes, that's what I want.
Now it feels.
So then we fixed it in. So even to this day, on that product model, we still put weights inside it. You know, the new version, we do it as well, actually, because there's an element, you don't want to be too heavy, but it's things like that. You can shoot from the hip if you have a good gut instinct on it. You also know what your customers are going to like. So if you understand your markets, you can say quickly, okay, correct, yeah, that works. and so for people coming in who don't have that knowledge, it takes them a while to build it up before they can shoot from the hip. But I find bigger companies become more process driven. You have a meeting about this and a meeting about that, and we'll talk about that next week. Where anything that we were going to do back in 2019, 2020, 2021, in the very early days, there was not a meeting. It was me and my co-founder would sit down, and the two of us would sit and talk.
And take the decision fast.
That was it. We'd sit, we'd talk, we'd have a cup of tea or coffee. In the UK, it's a cup of tea usually. Sit, have a cup of tea, sit in the boardroom, 30 minutes, we'll just talk about everything.
Decision and action.
Yeah, maybe 20 minutes might be talking about, did you watch the football? Did you watch the rugby?
Correct, yeah.
Because actually you only needed 10 minutes to really say, what are we doing with this? I think this. What about that? Okay, we'll do this. And that was it. We disagree on everything. Some things we didn't agree on, but we generally come to an agreement. We were very similar-minded when it came to a lot of this.
Yeah, because everybody's on the field, so the feeling is the same.
Yeah. We were seeing the same stuff, so we
the target is the same, yeah.
So shooting from the hip and moving fast, getting to the market quickly, because what I bring to the market, and bear in mind at that point in time, I was a business pre-revenue that was £500,000 invested with probably about £100,000 left. I was a tiny business. And if I bring something to market and you see a global giant like Motorola or Axon,
of course
they see it and they're going to say, right,
fighting against a large company.
We need that. So how quickly can they catch up with us? So being small, you have to be dynamic and fast. You have to keep developing, keep innovating, releasing things and really being off the radar to get there and being fast. Speed. There's a great saying about velocity, and it's essentially, if I just go fast enough, nothing can stop me. So just keep moving.
Yeah, correct. Yeah.
Nothing can stop you. If you're going fast enough, you can't be stopped. So as long as you keep moving ahead, you'll keep winning.
So after you have your first customer, so about the business model.
Yeah.
Because you disrupt the way that you're selling hardware.
Yeah.
So how you think and how you propose at the end?
Truthfully, because we always want to be truthful, I'll be very frank about it. When we were putting the business plan together, one of the investors and I was sitting down. In fact, it was my dad. So I was sitting talking to my old man, and I said to him, "Here, Dad, look, what do you think about this? I'm putting this paperwork together for this proposal." And I said, "This is our 3-year projection." He looked at it, and it was all sales. And to be honest, I was focusing on more of a sales model, and he said, because he has a business in rental and recurring revenue.
Okay.
He just said, "You can do those numbers?" And I said, "Yeah, in terms of units, volume. What about if you rented?" We don't like the term rental because we're not a subscription.
It's subscription, yeah.
But let's say we did a rental subscription model. Could you do that? And we said, "What could you charge for that per month?" And I said, "Well, I think £30, which 33 euros, £30. And the really nice thing about that number was it was £1 per day. Yes, from as little as one, and that was like a key part of our messaging. From £1 per day, you can have a complete body worn solution. And a part of our messaging was, we talked about having very clear messaging. Your daily gym membership, your cup of coffee, your holistic body worn video solution, only one of those costs £1 per day. And it's not the coffee and it's not the gym. We're cheaper than both. So that messaging
it's clear.
Was so clear to the market. I mean, we literally put out this £1 message to everybody in the UK. And that message of, here's other comparisons. And we kept putting up other different comparisons of things that you pay for every day and you don't think about. And it's more than £1 per day. And we're in a holistic body worn video solution for less than that. So it made us seem very valuable. And we are, but it put the message out there. So having that clear message. So back to the model, that's where the £30 came from. I said, I reckon £30 per month, £1 per day. Okay, that makes sense.
It makes sense.
Snowballs.
The rebuild vision. Okay, let's make it.
So that one conversation changed absolutely everything. And then once we changed the numbers, I just said, okay, well, let me work on the numbers. I came back to him like an hour later and said, this would be the numbers if we did a recurring model. Here's what we do per month. And he's like, you know that you could probably get 10x your revenue on those numbers.
And then you say, whoa,
okay.
a really good idea.
Okay, so we're going to raise some more money at some point. So, that model led us to, our success. And ultimately in January 2024, so 2 years ago, we raised $20 million
Wow.
on a 10x valuation. So, we couldn't have done that on a sales model. And also, it wouldn't have given us that key edge that made us really affordable.
Yeah, correct.
Because let me ask you, what people want the best product. Everybody wants a Range Rover, right? If you could afford a Range Rover, you'd have a Range Rover.
Yeah.
But not everyone can afford to put £170,000 down to buy a Range Rover. But they can afford to pay £1,000 a month on a hire purchase or on a PCP.
Different.
So by making it affordable, more people can get it. And one of the big problems, and where we saw our sector, like, what makes Halo unique versus the other companies? They all go after policing. They all go after law enforcement. Now, we do it, but it's not a focus. It's less than 10% of our business.
Okay, law enforcement, like you don't go...
Nope. It's not that important for us. 90% of our business is the private sector. Private security. So under private security, you've got hospitality security, event security, any kind of security guard that you see anywhere falls under private security. There's a lot more of them than there are police officers.
Okay, and those kind of market, what are their pain point actually when you go to see them? What value you bring to them?
So 2 things. One, they aren't getting, particularly back when we went off the market, nobody was giving them any time or focus.
Okay.
So all they were buying was the body cameras off Amazon, which are, as you know, like very, very basic. So that's what they were getting, but they wanted all the features of a back-end system that a professional solution can offer. So your live streaming, your panic alerts, your GPS positioning. They want all those features, but they can't get them because they can't get off the Axons or the Motorola's. So we said, well, we'll focus on those. We'll go after the areas, virgin territory, that nobody else is looking at.
But why nobody is looking at, because like if I take it from my perspective, more like if I look at the, like South Europe market or even here, generally it's low margin company.
Yeah.
People don't realize, but they have a lot of pressure on human resources because like if they have a no-show, they can have like high penalty. They need like to be really reactive. So how to sell to them because it's quite difficult.
Yeah. So one thing, affordability. Every other company is selling you the hardware and then subscribing the software. So if I sell you the hardware, we're talking, it could be, depending on the model and who you're talking to, it could be anywhere between 600 and 900 pounds, euros, whatever. Plus then you've got 1,000.
Yeah, correct, yeah.
If you have 1,000 of those, there's £1 million potentially out the door straight away, including your year 1 subscription. Then you've got year 2, then you've got year 3 and the ongoing costs. So not every company can say, oh, here's £1 million for our body cams.
Yeah, of course.
Where we said, hey, 1,000 cameras, 30,000 a month. Oh, that's affordable. So once you get that message right, you're like, oh, okay. With Halo, now Halos, since the rebrand, we're really affordable. So we go in as a 100% OpEx versus a CapEx. So it becomes affordable to these companies to put them in. But value adds, why use a body cam? Again, because there has to be a benefit beyond just safety. It has to make sense financially. So what do? We say, well, look, how do you protect your staff? When you protect your staff, a couple of benefits. One, the staff's happier. They haven't been assaulted. But secondly, they don't have to take time off work because they've had a physical interaction. They can sometimes take 2, 3, 4 months off, paid. Because depending on if it's in the UK, they are getting paid because there's those laws in place to protect the staff.
Of course, yeah.
So if they're getting paid, you have to cover that time. Where if they're wearing a body cam and 50% of the interactions no longer were an interaction because of that deterrence, all of a sudden your cost of people off work is fallen in half for that element. If I lose a member of staff due to they're feeling anxious, they're not enjoying the work, they feel nervous in a security environment. But when you have a body cam, you feel empowered. So they
Really,
feel,
it really changed. Like, can you give me an example, like how it changed the relationship?
One of our companies, we did a test, one of the biggest, without naming any names, they're the largest security company in the UK. We tested over 6 months, and 87% of staff felt more empowered and safer in their job wearing our cameras. 87% felt more comfortable, because if I'm wearing a camera and someone comes up to you and is giving you trouble, well, if I turn my camera on, starts recording, all of a sudden, I don't want to get in trouble here, so they'll leave. Like it's that simple. It's being that deterrent factor. But ultimately, if they do something, you've got the video footage that then you can share with law enforcement, who can then arrest them. And then
okay, bringing like the camera like in this public area for the security guards, like bring the true and the trust. It means like if there is something happen, I can use it as a trust.
Yeah, and there's two elements on the company side and the wearer side. There used to be the idea of Big Brother and I don't want to be watched and all this. The reality is mostly security guards want to do their job, they want to do it well,
correct,
and they want to prove that they've done their job correctly. So when they record it with a body cam, they're getting all of that evidence that they did it correctly. They spoke professionally, they didn't.
Yeah, we have digital proof for everyone. It's not like he said, I said.
Yeah.
It's like digital proof.
The accusations that are thrown out, you will know this from everybody will know this from their lives, is people say things that weren't true. Oh, he called me this, he said he called me that. Things that, could get them in a lot of trouble, could lose their job. So now you can say, oh, that didn't happen. And the footage is there to throw out that immediately. But also, if that person has an interaction with a body cam in that store, guess what? They're not going to go back to that store. They'll go somewhere else because they know that they can't get away with it. And because the body cam is getting that evidence.
It's like seeing like a CCTV camera. You can say like, no.
Well, the problem with CCTV is it's up in that corner.
Yeah, you can, yeah.
There's up in the corner, you forget it's there. If you put a cap on, you can't see the person's face.
Yeah, you can, of course.
With a body cam, it's in your face. And with our system, there's a new feature that we have, which is if I tap to start recording and it doesn't deter the person, I can double tap the alert button. The alert fires back to our security team. And within a matter of seconds, literally within 3 to 5 seconds, someone might actually start talking to the camera, to the person, saying, man in the black t-shirt, we're watching you and we've got more security coming. If you do not leave, the police will be there within 5 to 10 minutes. That really de-escalates.
Disrupt.
We're getting like 90% deterrence in some of our proof of concepts. Once you get to that point where the violence or the assault, whether verbal or physical, leaves. So for companies, the amount of money they're saving on having to recruit new staff because they're more happy in their job, they don't want to leave. Recruitment costs are a lot. Recruitment costs are huge. So no more recruitment costs fall down massively.
So it's increased the margin also for the global company.
Exactly.
At the end.
It's if making their business more efficient in other areas is where we really save you a lot of money. And we have a thing called automated upload. So when you record a video, as soon as I finish recording, it uploads to the system. So you don't have to return to base. So there's operational efficiencies. If you have to use a body cam, using ours versus one that has to be docked, where you have to drive back to the security room to get the footage to share it, you don't have to do that anymore. It automatically returns. So we're all about time efficiency as a business, because the more efficient your staff are, the less staff you actually need, to be quite frank. So you're saving costs there. Also, if you have a body cam on a security guard, you don't need two. You don't need two security guards. You can have one guard with one body cam who's got instant access to the security team. So if anything happens, they're watching and they're engaging. So if they're talking to someone and you've got the security team talking to you, that's as much backup as you having a second guard. So the companies are seeing that and saying, okay, well, instead of having 500 man guards, we actually need 250. Let's put one per site,
so you're
rather
bringing
than
more
two.
value, yeah.
And you're getting more than just the two guards with their written witness statement. They're getting one guard but with the full evidence. And then we've got AI features now where you can report on the entire incident. The video clip goes into the system, hit report, and it generates a report the full transcription and a report on the audio and the video, for what it sees and what it hears, and generates a report.
So yeah, it's more like than BodyCam. You're bringing also like manufacturing data actually.
Yeah.
So company was created in 2019.
Yeah.
And you have like a big growth, opening a lot of country. Like congratulations, because in the less time that you have, it's really like just amazing what you have done. What is the difference that you saw, for example, between like the security mindset in US and Europe? Like how?
It's not the security mindset's that different in terms of the law enforcement guys, whether the UK or the US. Europe's slightly different, I think. I think the UK is somewhere in between Europe and America in mindset.
Okay.
So I think that's why it's quite easy, not easy at all, but easier for a UK company to go into the States. I think the language barrier is one thing as well. I mean, you're speaking English to English. No matter how good your vocabulary is, from whether it's French or German, whatever, there is elements of that. But the American attitude is so different. It's the attitude more than the cops are still the same. The law enforcement guys, the senior security managers or ex-law enforcement, they're all the same kind of guys. They're fraternal. They're like, they want to be your friend. They get to know you. If they trust you, they buy into you. That's the same. But the economic mindset's different. And it's so true. It's one of the most, if people could just get the American mindset, they are pure capitalists. What is the best solution? What is the best deal? If I ring you, if I cold called you in France or in Germany or the UK, 9 times out of 10 I hang up straight away. Someone cold calls me, hello,
I'm not interested.
This is Matt from beep beep beep. You hang up.
Yeah.
In the US, you go, hey, this is Matt from Halo BodyCams. Okay. We have a solution we think you'd be really interested in. Can I get 30 seconds of your time just to give you a quick overview? Okay, go ahead. And then you just give them the quick pitch and you just say, look, here's what it is. I can save you time in your operational efficiencies. You can record evidence and upload it remotely. You've got two-way communication to the live streams. You get live. You can watch and talk to your team live. And then you talk about you give them the quick elevator pitch. And they're like, okay. It's like, if you're interested, could we schedule a 30-minute call with, if it's yourself as a decision maker, or if it's you and someone from your technical team, could we get 30 minutes of your time just to show you it working? Yeah. Okay. Next Tuesday. That's how American mindset works. I like a deal. How much does it cost? Oh, that's not expensive. You also have to remember the American average income is so much higher than the UK or Europe.
Yes. Yeah.
For us to spend, say, in the US, say $50 a month, $55, $60 a month, for them in as a cost, that's very little. It's fractional compared to what for us. How much is that a month? And they have a lot more money. They just do. They have a lot more money. They charge a lot more. They're a capitalist society.
They charge more in US?
Oh yeah. There's a different pricing model for the US.
It means that they give more importance. Of course, yeah. When you go to US, you see that security guards are more respected than in Europe.
Well, there's different pricing models in terms of security staff. Yeah, so a security staff member in the US, you're charging for a basic security agent who's literally just standing there with a hat and a t-shirt, $25 an hour. For one that's trained with with handcuffs and maybe a baton and higher security, it's $35 an hour.
Okay.
And for an armed guard, it's $45 an hour. That's generally the rule of thumb.
Every company in Europe
in the UK,
will move to US.
In the UK, it's £15.
15
pounds. So it's $19.
Yeah, like in France, it's between 19 to 21.
So there's that's fractional compared to the US.
Yeah.
So it's way higher depending on how well trained you are. It's like anything. But we charge based on region because we have different operational costs in each area.
Of course.
I mean, we have we've a considerable team in the US. We have an office in Dallas, in Texas, and we've got across the US. I'd be guessing exact number, about 30 staff members over there. A lot of them are based in Dallas. A lot of them are remote working, so there's higher costs. It gets cost of living and everything else. So there's slightly different pricing, but US will pay. There's a higher threshold for what they're willing to pay, what they see of value, versus in the UK what they see as like the right amount.
Yeah, it's depending on the region. What is the next step that you want for the company?
So the next step of the company. So I suppose just give you a quick overview. So I was the founder of the business about nearly 2 years ago. Maybe it is 2 years ago. We decided that we wanted to take this company to the stratosphere. We wanted to.
Okay.
We talked about going public. I don't know whether that's definitely the right decision, but certainly we can go to a really high place with leadership that knows how to do that. And so for me, look, I'm 34. Nearly said 24.
No,
Definitely not
no,
24.
finished.
But I'm 34. Made that decision. I was 32. It was the right decision. We brought in a new team. They're really good. I mean, they've got some great experience. We've got some new people in the last few months. Really, who are really sharp, and they really have the right attitude. And a lot of people are in the States now. Again, we're trying to move across that more American focused business. It's the biggest month on month. It is our biggest area by some consideration. So we really are looking more focusing on the US stuff. So that team is expanding. I'm more in this sort of I'm like advising. I'm doing partnerships across the globe. I'm personally trying to grow the Middle East out and MEA, so Middle East and Africa, and we're also looking further afield, further east, towards Australasia potentially. But that's where my focus is on growing new business. It's on speaking with existing customers and keeping those relationships there. But where do we see as a company it going? The US will continue to grow. It's such a beast. There's such opportunity there.
Yeah, there is a lot. Yeah.
If you can get that market right, and again, bringing in Americans is very important to doing that. But once you have the right team in place, the market's endless. Really, it's huge. We want to further consolidate the UK. The European Union, a bit of a problem with that is they're very bureaucratic and very cautious when it comes to GDPR. Even though they have the exact same GDPR laws as the UK.
No, it have to be.
It's so much more cautious, even though it's the same law. The UK, even though we left the EU, still has the same law. It's 2028 GDPR Act of May 2018. We still have the same laws on that sense. But we're like more realistic about it. Like, well, okay, we'll keep the data safe, but also look at all these benefits. Where in the data sensitivity in the Europe is so. I don't know where Europe will go. There's big deployments there. Like the gendarmerie in France. I think they took like 30,000 cameras in one order. Which is like one of the biggest in the world. Ironically, that was the biggest order in the world. What is it now? It's 100,000 in one order. By who? Walmart.
Whoa.
Private security for a supermarket is now the biggest body cam deployment in the world by a factor of 3+.
Oh.
So that really shows you the size of these retailers and security companies and why, for us, we position ourselves as private sector focused.
Yeah, you're right. Like it's a good turn. Actually, like two decisions like was quite difficult to take. The first one, not to go where everybody's going, like the private sector at the beginning. The second one, which is like a really difficult decision to take and to think about when you, as a founder, say, okay, I have done a good job on the traction part. Now I have a good scale, but I need to grow because I need to reach this level. I never make it. Should I stay or should I hire a team to do that? Like it's really like courageous to say like, okay, maybe I'm not the right person to reach this target, and I need not to step back, but to hire a team to do this job.
At every point, I guess, if you're a true entrepreneur, you have to do that.
Yeah.
At some point.
Yeah.
Unless you're Elon Musk, which you just keep building more companies and just
until you fail.
Until you fail. But I feel like there's a certain, you have to recognize your strengths. Like, what are my strengths? Creativity, spotting patterns, so pattern recognition, seeing where the market's going, understanding the customers, understanding their needs and wants, and building something that they want, and ultimately in a way they can buy it affordably. that's what I'm good at. Messaging, selling. I mean, that's just what I do naturally. I can't help
Yeah,
it.
correct.
But again, I'm dyslexic with ADHD. I'm not the operations guy. That's not my skill set. So we brought in, my former partner in the business. He was very much more an operationally focused guy. But then he left the business a few years ago, and we brought in a new ops team. And now we have a new CEO in the States, and he seems to be fantastic. He seems really sharp. So really impressed with this guy.
No, it's really good and hard to move, like to create a team around you.
But as the company gets bigger, you have to let go.
But at the beginning, it's your baby.
It's your baby. It's hard.
You're the only person that can manage. And no,
it to be honest, and being completely honest, it was really hard after we made the decision to let go. It was the right decision. We have a really good team in place. Do I miss having the shoot from the hip ability to make all decisions off the hip and move fast in that sense? Not that we're moving slow now, we're still moving very fast, but to have that ability, yeah. And I think the creative control to say this is the direction of the business, and
really
this
mature decision.
This is what we're about. What does Halos really mean? What are you about? What's the business? What's important? And I think I put a lot of my personal values into that when we started the business. And, as the business grows, you have to become more mature. It has to be more like this is like the way it is. We still put a big emphasis on customer success. We have a big customer success team now. We have, I don't know how many, maybe 7, 8, 9, 10 customer success managers across the globe, making sure customers are happy and it all works. But I miss the ability to do that. And I think for any entrepreneur, being honest, once you sort of release control of a business, it's hard. It is hard. Saying that, I don't know why, but this year, 2026, I've just had a fresh take on just that everything we've done is the right thing. We have company meetings every quarter, and the last company meeting, I was just like, you know what, I can't argue. They're doing things better than I could have done it.
Which is good.
Which I always thought, well, I would have done this, I would have done that. But our CTO and the senior team, they're pumping out new features and new things that I just thought, wow.
Yeah.
This is I could have only dreamed of this. So, it's the company is now in a better place. And it's hard to admit that, but it is in a better place, and I'm excited to see where it goes.
Yeah.
I'm no longer steering the ship, but I'm on the ship, and I've got a great viewpoint. And I get to oversee a lot of things. I get to see all the staff and stuff. But there's this new team in place, and I think as an entrepreneur, at some point you have to do that if you want the business to go to the real pinnacle of where.
Depending on the situation, I have same experience, less, but approximately the same, but on the other way. At a moment, I heard some people that tell me you need to scale. So you need to become a real CEO. To manage financial, blah, 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 and everything. All the things that when you're reaching fund or whatever. But operational, financial, and I said, okay, I need to become a real CEO. So I need to stay at the desk, at the office. And not to go to see too much customer, but more to be on the backside.
Yeah.
Spending time with lawyers, accounting, whatever, all the people that I pay to give me advice. After 4 months, I was really not happy. I want to kill the company. I was what this monster that I created?
Yeah.
I'm not a lion about my personality. And at the moment, I have the chance to have my co-founder was formerly the general of the Special Forces. Oh. And I told him, Thierry, I'm lost. I feel I lose myself. And he explained me how, a military organization, really large, they organize themselves. Say, when we have the big general, the 5-star general, and he manage 20,000 people. So everything is processed, structure, everything, blah, blah. But this one, it's the day-to-day work and everything. And you have a small organization on the side that we call task force. This one, it's totally egoist. They report directly to the boss. And this is his area to play. Okay, you love creativity. The labs, it's for you. You want to see customer, make it. But the task that you don't want, structure it. Like that, you can keep the agility, but you will have also your big elephant that no need to move. At this moment, I said to the guys, I'm not the right guy to do this stuff. I just want to go, as you say, I want to be with the customers. I want to be on the field. I want to speak with people. I don't want to stay and to do like, okay, the EBITDA is good. Yes, of course, I need at a moment, one time a month, not every day.
Yeah.
So I squeeze the totally part for that and say, no, the DNA of the company is to be like customer centric. I really don't care about this stuff. I don't want to become like this kind of company.
I think if you care about titles more than the business, it'll never work. And I think if you can say, look, I know what I'm really good at. I'm good with customers.
Yeah.
I'm good with customers, and I'm good at, I'm good at.
And I love it when you know where
you.
you are good and when you love something.
Yeah.
Just make it happen. Don't
Yeah.
listen to the other.
And
the lawyer, excuse me, Matt, but the lawyer would tell me that you need to become a real CEO. Because I was sometimes going, with a Jordan brand shirt. I love Jordan. But customers know me like that and say, no, you have to be serious, blah, blah. I told him, I'm CEO for many years. I don't have to be a real one. I'm already a CEO. Just let me. I don't want to become like a board CEO, as you say.
you could ultimately also look at it and hire a really strong COO.
Yes, of course.
Because the COO has to be the guy to crack the whip or the girl. But a really effective one can run the business in its function, and a CEO can point the ship in the right direction by speaking to customers, by knowing your products and knowing where the market's going and spending time with the
You're
girl.
right. It's depending the time of market. When you reach, this zone about scalability and on the real growth, depending on your number. But some people give you advice that, you already reached the moon. It's not because we have done 700% of growth in 1 year that we are in the growth phases.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean anything. It's like, there is a lot of KPI that you have. So, yeah, there is time. For me, at this time, it was not the time.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe in the next 3 years, for sure, when we will reach the direction, I will not be the right guy to do that.
Yeah.
I'm sure. Because it will be boring for me. I don't want to do that.
Listen, you gotta have fun.
Correct.
And look, not everyone, some people would argue, say, no, it's not about fun. It's about making money and that. Well, those people are good as CEOs. As a CEO, you need to say, right, it's more than just that. It's like, what am I about? What's the company about? And, I think you need to get the right balance. And if you don't, what's the point? You got to enjoy, you're on a life. We have one life. You have one journey,
Correct, yeah.
As much as you want to say, we got to do all these things to make the most money, it's not always about that. Sometimes it's about what's my product doing to change the world? How am I making the world a better place? And sometimes sitting as the CEO maybe isn't that right place. So I think, if you can stay in your board and as chief strategy guy and all of that, sometimes you can bring other people in. It's a personal decision for everybody. A lot of the CEOs I know have a little bit of that control element. We all know them. It's about control and power in the sense of the business. They have to have the reins held tight.
Yeah, to be sure the vision is applied.
Yes, yeah. That's one way of doing it. Or you have the other element, which is here's people that are better at the job.
Yeah.
Ultimately, you've your shares. So what's going to grow the value in those most for you? Is it putting other people in? Maybe. What's your ultimate goal? These are questions you have to ask yourself.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people forget that. It's just about how do I maintain and keep a grip of my vision. And sometimes, like I said earlier, these guys now are pumping out things that was beyond me. So it was the right decision. So it takes time to see that.
Yeah, it takes time.
In this case, taking 1.5 years, 2 years, but for me to see it. But it's ultimately it is in the right place. So it's always easy. I suppose it's my first time round. My first time round of a bigger business. What would I do on the next business? I don't know, because it's a new business, and I may want to stay in a certain position, or I might not. It's a
you will be more mature and more experienced to know exactly.
The difference is astronomical. Where I was 7 years ago, I was just a kid.
But really, Matt, congratulations about you and your team, what you have delivered. Because in the less than 7 years with COVID time there is some good opportunity also in COVID, but what you reach in terms of number, succeed, trust, references, everything. We have the same age.
Yeah.
I'm like really, for me, like enthusiastic about what you deliver, and give me like, like positive feedback to me to say like, look, there is some company that hardware, to be honest, it's more complicated than only software that you reach. And I think like it's really a good example for people that they will say, no, it's not possible. You make it, so congrats on that.
Thank you. And like, just to finish on that hardware topic, it is hard, I think, mainly from an operational side, because you have a thing that you need to set up and deliver and ship and configure depending on the customer. Software doesn't have that, but don't let that get in the way of, if your industry requires hardware with software.
No, of course, yeah, no. Making both you need,
Do it.
and yeah, make it. I'm totally agree with you. But actually today with AI, with a lot of like kickstarting in software that you have open source, the first MVP, it's less costly on software. And hardware, it's more like your vision have to be really, really sighted on the...
Do you know, it's funny, the world's changing with AI. I mean, where that's going, when do we hit AGI, artificial generational intelligence? Some say it's going to be next year, some say it's going to be 2029, probably somewhere in the middle. When that happens, who knows, it's going to be smarter than all of humanity combined.
Yeah.
It could go anywhere, hopefully in the right direction. But where I see some real niche is in hardware.
Yeah.
Because software, you've got vibe coding. So at the minute, it's very early stages, but I think within the next 12 months, you'll be able to say to AI, look, hey, create me a software platform that does X, Y, and Z. And it just goes off and builds. 15 minutes later, it's finished.
Yeah.
It will get there. So all of a sudden, anyone with a good idea can start pumping out really good software, which is great, actually. For bigger companies, it's scary because you're like, oh, someone can just replicate something I made, maybe make it better. Who knows?
Agility will earn.
Yeah. So if you have a really strong software that maybe is integrated with AI, it's it's a wearable device, but if AI connected to it, so that I see some real opportunities there.
Totally agree. Matt, thank you so much for
pleasure.
the time. It was really I enjoy this moment. And again, congratulations about everything that you deliver and everything that you're going to deliver.
Thank you, man.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.